Skywalker is actually a redhead. So like the dude that plays Cal Kestis in like the new Star Wars games that are out right now, he'd be a perfect candidate. But I would say maybe give him more of like the dirty blondish hair like his father. But I mean, it's got a good setup, and it has a little bit of an idea that I wanted to put through with my 7 or 8, 9, and 10 episodes.
So how many, like, what's the last episode? Is 10 the last episode?
No, 12 would be.
Okay.
So you'd have Star Wars.
Have you told me all the way through 12 yet?
I have a general.
Like, what did you pitch to me the other night?
The other night is the thing that just came up for Star Wars episodes 7 through 9, and then I have a 10 through 12 written, and the 10 through 12 takes place way afterwards.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like it takes place like maybe a couple hundred years, or maybe close. I don't know. Maybe not a couple hundred years. Maybe like. Maybe at least 100 almost.
Right behind you with a vehicle.
Securing Echo.
That's the wrong button, god damn it!
Every time, dude.
We've lost Bravo.
I'm just used to E being enter, not throw grenade.
So, okay, so tell me where you left off the other night. Oh my god, I just lagged so hard, dude.
Are we stuck or are we lagging? I don't know.
It's back to normal for me now, at least.
You're stuck in the ground. You're literally like, whoa!
Oh, now I see it. Okay, hold on.
Holy crap! I don't know if I want to get back in there. You're not. This is skip that.
My car is
literally. You're like a magnet to the fucking wall right now. I'm gonna be recording this. Oh my god, you broke!
I haven't blown up on my screen yet.
It blew up on
There
mine.
it is. There it is. It finally kicked in. Okay, I'm gonna just connect to my normal internet real quick because maybe my phone just can't handle this.
Alright, you want me to back out?
No, I'll just switch real quick. We'll see what happens. Okay,
What was
I'm
your
connected.
question you were asking a minute ago?
Oh, just like, give me the basic plot of where you left off the other night. So, you know, what would be like 10 through, or 9 through 12 or whatever, 10 through 12. Because now I can't even remember where we left off.
Well, you said something about. It reminds me, you left off at, and you're like curious about something, and then, yeah. I think you're asking me either about the new like story I was talking about, or something else. Like, yeah, I don't know if you still hear me or not.
I don't remember specifics.
If you literally just said like a minute ago, like, yeah, because you literally said something along the lines of, so where was it you left off at, like me explaining something to you.
Yeah, just basically like where you left off from the other night, because you pitched, I think your 7, 8, and 9 to me, or maybe it was just 7 and 8.
But like the general idea.
You got to the point.
Going on?
You got to the point. I mean, you told a lot. I got a lot of the gist. I just don't remember a whole lot. But yeah, we talked for a good hour about it. But we left off on the part where you said that Plagueis would have a final battle against Luke and Ben, and blah blah blah, and that's how that would end. But if you're saying there's movies, or not movies, but concepts after that, I don't think we got to those yet. So I was just curious about. I was just curious about like what's that. So what's that then?
So the sequel stories is based. I've pitched it to you before when I wanted to like write my own kind of version, but then ended up making it like 9, 10, 11. So it takes place like roughly like a while after everything that happens. At that point the galaxy's in balance. A lot of the people aren't force sensitive as much anymore. The Jedi kind of die out. Have gone. And I just got a double kill. So like in that time, like yeah, Luke's gone, um, Ben Skywalker's gone, their descendants are gone. Well, not really gone, but their descendants are there. But like after like the Force has been put in balance, it kind of shuts itself off from people in a sense. So like the Jedi and the Sith kind of die out, and the galaxy's kind of like just at peace. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Everything's a balance, yeah.
In a sense, yeah. And then all of a sudden, of course, darkness rises again, and then light has to rise to counterbalance it. So with that being said, there's a darkness growing. Oh my God, it's not a good story. All right, try to be the quick as I can. All right, so anyway, darkness grows, and the Jedi have somewhat come back. There's a small council, and it takes place roughly about. Damn, I almost got that guy. I want to do it maybe 100 to 300 years after the events of episodes 7, 8, and 9. Like the galaxy afterwards, like a while afterwards. Maybe not even that long. Maybe like 100 years or like 100. Yeah, maybe 100 years. I'm not sure. But basically, yeah, everything's brought to peace and whatnot, and then like the Jedi kind of and the Sith die off because the Force is just kind of closing itself out from people anymore. It's in balance, and that's how it likes to be until someone eventually comes along and studies and does what they need to do to practice the dark side and whatnot, and they become a new dark threat. I mean, I'll go into that like whole backstory of this character way at some point. But basically, there's another Plagueis in a sense, not like a Plagueis, but like a character like that, a dark character that's very clever, very fucking clever, and like 30, 40 steps ahead of everybody. Kind of like a Palpatine, but not as much. It's very similar, but it's very easy for them.
Right.
Anyway, there's a dark presence going through the galaxy. There's still a new republic that's been established for like a long time now that's going to be the republic that's the remnant of what Leia made back in the prequels and whatnot. The republic continues on. They have that. And, there's a new threat coming around. That's basically.
Can you invite me in game really quick?
Oh yeah, I got you. I'll try. How to do that, Jeff? Hell.
I have no idea.
Do you want me to just leave? I don't know if I can invite you.
If that's what you gotta do.
I don't care. I mean, dude, I'm playing this game with you. I'm not playing this game with these people. But anyway, so there's a new threat that comes around, and they're using a new weapon that will basically annihilate a planet. Oh, no. Before you say it's not the fucking Death Star. Nothing like that. It annihilates all living things. Anything that's connected, because we're all connected to the Force. But we're not all, like, actually connected to the Force. The Force lives within everything and all of us. But it's only open to a select few that are basically worthy enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, for instance, this weapon that they're using is a weapon that is of dark side energy that is harnessed from various dark side locations, and it's used to basically wipe out everybody and collect their Force energy to power the weapon even further. It leaves the planet alone for them to conquer it, but it just wipes out all life. So like systems are like literally disappearing and losing contact. No one's there. It becomes like a really big dark threat from the outer rim coming in, and so the New Republic's on like basically high alert and whatnot, and they turn to the somewhat renewed Jedi Council. There's only a couple of them because, like I said, the Force basically has shut itself off from a lot of people, and there's some people that can use the Force. But for these Jedi and Sith and stuff right now, they're not like your average, like, oh, I'm gonna fucking pick you up, Force choke you, and then throw you, and then shoot lightning. Like, they can use the Force, but they're not as powerful. But they're, like, the most powerful for what they can use the Force, if that makes sense. Like they're not like the potential of like, you know, Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, but they could still use the Force and move it and stuff, move objects, choke people, whatever, etc. But not to the extent of like what you've seen before. It's a little bit harder because the Force has really kind of closed itself off.
Why did it says my name is Free Jawbreakers again? Does it say that in
Maybe.
your game?
I don't know.
I haven't gotten an invite. But I think my name might be Free Jawbreakers again.
No, it's still the same for me. But
Why does it
I
say
mean, if you
that?
want to continue, it's pretty boring. I'll spare you.
No, I mean just like I was curious.
But like I said, so the new Jedi come into play, and then there's obviously like 3 masters and 1 apprentice. There's a master and basically the headmaster of them all, and the apprentice. They're kind of like an Anakin Obi-Wan kind of deal. I invited you. I don't know if you got it.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
So they're investigating everything. They're going to these planets, and you know, it's kind of like, you know, the Clone Wars in a sense, but not really. You know, you have the Republic fleets, and they're using other ships like from the Clone Wars or on whatever people had, and still have, and making new things and whatnot. But so it's not necessarily the Clone Wars, but it's kind of similar. So they get stationed out on a planet that's closest to the like system that was recently attacked, and they're preparing to be attacked. And so to figure out this threat, they send, you know, well, not really they, but the council, the master and his apprentice decide to go out to a planet, investigate it. There's a distress signal that gets called upon. I think they go together, or I don't remember. I have to, because I wrote it down before. I have to reread it, but they get separated at a point to where the apprentice has to go investigate some sort of distress signal that's close by, and the master's on the planet. So when that distress signal goes, he goes to investigate it, and yeah, it was a downed friendly cruiser. You know, it's barely holding together, life support's very minimal, whatever. He goes on, tries to help who he can, ends up finding this girl that survives. And he brings this girl back, and whereas they're trying to get away, they try to outrun the blast of the ship, and it damages their hyperdrive, so they can't jump. But anyway, there's a planet nearby, and she said, you know, hey, I have an outpost on this planet. We can try to, you know, scavenge the stuff or get a signal out or whatever to radio back to your people, you know, whatever, yada yada yada. But I mean, mind you, this guy, that reason why he went on this mission, because he kept having visions or connections or something to telling him to do something. He kept feeling it in the Force, to like do so. And so the master told him, you know, go investigate it because it wasn't too far away, and then to come back and report.
Secure the objectives.
His mistake,
You're clear to engage all
thinking
targets.
that, you know, his apprentice
Securing
was, you know, ready to take on something like that. But anyway, she leads him to the planet.
Enemy securing
They
Bravo.
land,
Echo secure.
and
Enemy
it's a
securing
pretty cool
Charlie.
area, honestly. It's kind of
We're
lush.
taking
It's kind of
Delta.
like, think of like where King Kong takes a bath and Godzilla takes a Kong. Something like that. You know, it's like a waterfall.
You won't
everything's
believe what just
lush.
happened to me.
I think you just killed yourself, mate.
I made your vehicle mistake. There's a heli up here, and I
We control Delta.
come here. It's only smoking. We can still take it. It's right here. Sorry, continue. But yeah, I I threw a grenade and then I thought running on the
fine.
other side of it would save me, but
Well, I guess I'm fine. So, basically, they're together. She takes him to her little hideout.
Charlie
God.
secure.
I'm not used to flying on mouse and keyboard.
We're
Oh,
taking
Lord.
Alpha.
I'm on the objective. I'm
Enemy
just
taking
captain.
I
Charlie.
died.
I saw your body fall in front of the doorway. Oh, I died.
Nice.
Fast hands. We're taking the lead.
So at this point, when he rescues her and everything, they have
Hostile
time
UAV
together,
in
and
the
she
area.
opens up this pathway through the forest, and he realizes that this is the person that sent the distress signal from the
We're
ship
losing
that
Echo.
was doomed.
The enemy took Charlie.
Yeah, so they're able to use the force and
Securing
whatnot.
objective
And,
Alpha.
you know, from him being taught
Movement.
one thing about the force from the Jedi, you know, she was taught something else. But it's not so blatantly out there like, oh, it's the dark side given to your hatred. It's something different. It's simple. It's more simplified than that. Of
Changing
her
mag.
Alpha
beliefs.
secure.
Got
And-
movement.
Slowly, she corrupts him over time.
The lead is
Of their
ours.
time together, because they need to escape that planet, because there's also not necessarily
We've lost
natural
Echo.
inhabitants, but there's an enemy force that's preventing
Secure
them from
Bravo.
doing something, from completing their goal there, and he needs his
Sure.
help so they can get off, and then that's his ticket back home, and that's what he uses his help.
Ah, he's
Securing
downstairs! I tried rushing him. He's literally just camping downstairs. I want to shotgun him.
I got you.
I don't have a shotgun,
So
but I can
when
deagle
fighting the
him.
enemy force, at the end of it, they end up
Objective
using
Echo secure.
the
Got him.
weapon. Because she tells him about a weapon, you know, that they can use to make peace and things like that, and it's basically explaining the weapon that's wiping everybody out. And all these people that are coming after her and whatever like that, that she needs the Padawan's help that she's seducing to the
Drop
dark
their
side,
sniper.
tricks him the whole time. He ends up helping
Objective
her,
Bravo is compromised.
and
Get it
everybody
back.
that they killed or have to kill along the way is just fed into it.
Contact.
The
Loading.
machine once it's all said and done.
We're taking Charlie.
Ooh, next
And
to
then
you on
once
the
they
balcony.
leave the planet, she uses a small fraction of it and wipes out the remaining people that are there, and then at that point, like, yeah, just like justifying it and just slowly corrupting the
We're
premise.
losing Alpha.
So as they
Gotcha.
collect as they collect like basically force
High
energy
alert
from people
online.
that they're killing and wiping out planets in a sense,
The enemy
it
took
comes down
Alpha.
to the planet that his master's on.
Yeah.
And then
Friendly
there's
recon
the other
scanning for
two
threats.
masters, maybe 2 or 3 masters on the council that are close by
We're taking Bravo.
in nearby systems, or nearby, yeah, I would say nearby systems.
Securing objective Charlie.
But like the way the weapon's controlled, you can control it through the force yourself and use some of your force energy as well. And at that point, when that's all going on, the Jedi Master ends up leading a protocol
Securing
droid
objective Bravo.
that's blue and not like blue and silver, an astromech, and while he's on the planet that's being occupied, you know, they're preparing defenses, whatnot, you know what I mean? This is happening while the Padawan went off on the mission, the Master's over here on the planet. So people are preparing, and it's, you know, it's kind of a rundown, like, city-ish planet, kind of. Like, yeah, it's not like Coruscant or something, but it would be something close to, like, Dantooine, not Tatooine, but Dantooine. Or, like,
Oh,
Alderaan,
gotcha.
where you got, like, buildings and structures and stuff, but you also have plains and fields and whatnot as well. It's not completely covered with
Portable radar
city
deployed.
like Coruscant or anything. But they're on a planet like that. The New
We're losing
Republic
Bravo.
is fortifying,
Objective Charlie is
you know, just
compromised.
preparing
Get it
and
back.
whatnot.
Enemy in the area.
Oh shit, I'm
Changing
lagging
mags.
hardcore now.
Taking effective
The Master
fire.
receives a message
I am
from a
wounded.
protocol droid. Damn. Telling him that, you know, it's a message from someone that they need help and whatnot. So he decides to go and help. He finds a hut not too far, but kind of far outside the city where they're preparing for the invasion and everything like that.
Securing Charlie.
He finds a couple,
Friendly UAV online.
a man and a woman, and they're, well, she's pregnant. She's like literally about to like give birth, but they've been having somebody on their tail and hunting them down. And the only way they could explain this person, they say it's like a shadow that comes through, and then when it gets close enough, there's a red light that appears and it slashes at you, and you know,
Securing Alpha.
basically meaning a lightsaber. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. Gotcha, gotcha.
So that's how they explain it to him. And like, we don't know why we're being hunted, but and this I explain this in the plot further on why they're being hunted. And why so they're being hunted because they want the
Snipers
child
down.
Wow,
and the
this gun is
child
trash.
that they have together And this is the big spoiler. Oh, what you do? But this is the big spoiler. But the parents are descendants of the Skywalkers or whatever that happened. You know,
Gotcha.
they're descendants. So this baby, like, that when all this is happening, the Force decided it needed to counterbalance it, and it went back to the Skywalkers again. You know, they still have the last name.
Right.
I think I might put it still the last name of having, you know, the Skywalker
Securing
name.
objective Delta.
But yeah, it's a couple, and they're not Force sensitive, but they're, you know, they're being hunted because they want the baby, because they know that
Right.
that the Force has awakened in a sense, no
Securing
pun
objective
intended,
Charlie.
and you know, the light.
Enemies
And if they
taking
could
Echo.
corrupt that light to the
Hostile
darkness,
UAV
they'd
in
be
the area.
unstoppable, and they want that. That's why
Yeah.
the big bad person wants it. That's using somebody else. That's manipulating somebody else, like I
UAV
explained a
overhead.
minute ago, into darkness, and just trying to build on that. Like,
We're losing
hey,
Bravo.
let's just try to fucking manipulate them to join us instead of using crazy amounts of force or anything like that. Like, so long story short, in that regard,
control
they're being
Charlie.
hunted, and there is another dark
Hostile
Jedi,
UAV in the
I
area.
guess you would say, with a red lightsaber, that is hunting them.
The enemy took Bravo.
As the master gets to know the husband, wife, and you know whatnot, she's, you know, about dude, the droid and whatnot. They explain the
Securing Delta.
situation, how they just been on the run from
We're
planet to
losing
planet.
Charlie.
Now they've been on this planet, and everywhere they go, it follows, and everybody is doomed everywhere they go. So all the places that got screwed are the places that they were there. They were trying to kill them all except for one person. Which, using the machine to kill them all through the Force, you would be able to do it. You'd be able to kill everybody else besides the sole being that has all that Force
Friendly
energy, you know
UAV
what I
on
mean?
station.
Right. Okay. I see. Yeah.
And that being is the baby
Securing
that she's
objective
carrying,
Alpha.
so they're running away.
Okay. Yeah.
So all these systems got wiped out because they were there and they're fleeing.
Enemy UAV
So the
overhead.
master, you know, figures it all out in a sense,
Our
and they
counter
talk.
UAV is active.
He ends up, you
Hostiles
know,
launched a cruise
making
missile.
sure that they're protected. He goes
Secure
back to
Bravo.
get supplies and to
Our
come back with
UAV
some
is
troops and
orbiting the area.
whatnot. And
We're taking
because basically
Delta.
that's how the frontal assault's going to happen, because they're coming after them.
Enemy
So
securing
whoever's
Echo.
the big bad person in his
Hostile
eyes, the
counter
master,
UAV
that's okay. They're
overhead.
gonna come after. I'm gonna be here with some troops. So he goes and gets some troops and brings them back. Not very many, but like a couple of elite commandos or whatnot.
Enemy securing
And-
Charlie. Securing Delta.
When it finally happens and they attack, because they are given the order at this point in
Hostile
time,
cruise missile
this is when
incoming.
the girl that manipulates the Padawan to come with her to the planet and, you know, slowly corrupts them, she gives the order for that to happen. You know, this is all kind of happening simultaneously, if you know what I mean.
Enemy UAV
Yeah.
So all that's going on, he attacks, he finds out where they are. It's dark. I have the
We're
whole thing
losing
written out. It's
Charlie.
pretty cool. It's a pretty sweet fight that goes on. But dude basically just
Enemy UAV
rips open the
overhead.
door with his lightsaber in the Force, and then throws it at the guy because they knew he was coming. Throws it at one of the troopers and kills, I think, the other two that were inside. I think there's a guard outside and two on the inside of the elite people that he brought, that he could spare without making it so suspicious, you know what I mean? Because he couldn't, like, yeah, he's got high ranks for being a Jedi there, but he doesn't have enough ranks to pull a lot of
Enemy
troopers.
UAV
But
active.
he was able to pull a
Portable
few
radar
and come with
deployed.
him.
God damn tanks,
Enemy
dude.
taking Charlie.
Right? It's basically dark side homeboy rips through the fucking wall,
Securing objective Delta.
annihilates
Securing objective
everybody,
Bravo.
and then him and the master engage in a duel. Meanwhile, while that's happening, the pregnant wife and the husband, they go into a hidden room inside the shelter.
Didn't see
that
me
they
coming,
have,
did
like, the
ya?
little place that they're hiding out at. And, you know, they're doing their thing. They're recording a message for their child, and they're leaving some things behind for their child
Hostile UAV in the
that's going
area.
to be hidden within the astromech that they sent. And at that, like at one point, you know, the child will come
losing
back
Charlie.
for it. And it's later on in the story, but
We've lost Delta. Friendly UAV online.
anyway, the dark side dude's just kicking ass, and they think they're all
We're
fucked.
taking
So
Delta.
her husband
Friendly
the
UAV
dad.
on station.
goes out and he starts to fight the guy as well. He basically knocks him off his ass. Got another Woo!
Objective Delta secure.
That is teabag
They
so
keep
hard.
going behind me.
But he goes out and he does a good job of kind of just countering, I guess, countering the fucking other guy fighting the master to give the master an upper hand. But at that point, he ends up
We're taking Bravo.
being force thrown and then pulled back into the dude's lightsaber. And while that's all happening, it gives the master time for him to cut off his arm. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And
Friendly
weaken him.
UAV online.
So he cuts off the dark side dude's arm,
Changing mags.
causing his lightsaber to turn off. That's being plunged through the dad at the moment.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure.
And he force pushes him right back out through the front door, and
Enemy UAV
he goes
overhead.
tumbling across, and then,
Switching mags.
you know, he's holding, trying to help, trying to use the force to heal his wounds, but he, you know, he's not that powerful. He's trying to do the best he can. The guy's dying. And his last wish is, you know, please watch over them, you know, like him and his
Gotcha.
family. And he dies, and he looks off into the distance, and he sees the guy that he cut off his arm. He's just running away. So he's fleeing somewhere. He could probably just go crying back to the base.
Reloading. Friendly recon active. Hostile
And after
UAV
that,
in the
he
area.
goes into the room where they're hiding, and the mother's there, and she, you know, she gave birth
Friendly
to
UAV
him,
on
and she's
station.
basically, I would say maybe bleeding out. Maybe something went wrong.
Enemies
I'm
taking
not
Delta.
entirely sure how that all entails, but she's basically dying of childbirth.
Sure.
Hence, you know. So he finds her, and she just begs him to take the
Securing
child and
objective Bravo.
watch over
Enemy
them.
UAV overhead. Objective Delta is
And at that point, you
compromised.
kind of
Hostile
figured
radar
because you
deployed.
could sense the child's force
Friendly cruise
energy.
missile approaching target.
Like, it's just insane, and like he had it, like he put
Eyes up.
everything together. Okay, they're after this. It's Sith after him. Obviously, they want the child.
Friendly
So on
war
that
strike
planet,
on the
he
way.
takes the child and then he puts it into a foster care on that planet in the city that's nearby that was going to be attacked, but
Secure
at that
Bravo.
point didn't get attacked.
Securing Delta.
The only reason
Hostile
it didn't
UAV in
get
the
attacked
area.
because
Moving. Enemies taking Charlie.
I'm getting ahead of myself. It didn't get attacked because while that's all going on, the girl and the apprentice, you know, she's basically crushing him.
Got
and
the
just
sniper.
going being
Securing
together
objective
because this all
Delta.
takes place for you like throughout a week or so. Like, you know, when I explain in the book or
Friendly
whatnot,
SAE on
I'm
the
just trying to
way.
make it shorter. But she corrupts him, and instead of using all that energy to wipe out the planet, she wants him to use the energy and use the device to pinpoint up on the roof
We're
to
taking
pinpoint
Bravo.
the
Yeah.
master's locations and kill them through the force. Instead of killing millions of people, it'll kill a select couple people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the apprentice, he's been around all of them. He grew up trained with all of them, so he has a strong connection with all of them. So he can find them through the force in order to kill them.
Friendly mortar strike inbound.
And at one point, there's this like little like junk dealer guy that's involved and
Our UAV
whatnot.
is
But
orbiting the area. We're getting hit hard.
I forgot what I wrote, but he's in there when all that crazy shit happens with the Sith and whatnot. And so after he defeats him,
Securing Delta.
you know, cuts off his arm, blasts him out the door or whatnot, goes and she tells him, you know, take care of the baby. She dies. He goes and puts it in the foster care, comes back, gives the parents a proper burial, and the junk guy is with him at the same time. I don't remember why I had him there, but there's a good reason. I don't have to reread my shit, but
Return to base.
Like, think of the guy that owned Anakin Skywalker, like the little fly guy. I was thinking about making him one of those guys.
Yeah.
And he goes back and he's recording himself a holocron because within a holocron, it's kind of like a Horcrux, you know? It's like you live on in a holocron.
Oh, okay.
And he's making a holocron. And at that point in time, him and all the other Jedi Masters get a distress call from the apprentice. Like, he figured out what's going on. You know, nobody's heard from him since. And, you know, everything seems to be going fine until he starts explaining things. And then everybody's like, you know, it's kind of like a hologram call in a sense, like, you know, they're talking. And it's just enough time for him to stall everybody, for him to kind of like get his connections to them, to figure out where they are and feel where they are in the Force to activate the weapon to kill them.
Yeah.
So the holocron got interrupted almost while he did that, and it killed everybody instantly except for the Master, because he was doing, like, I would say because he was doing the holocron at the time, and also because, you know, he's the strongest one in the Force. But he was able to somewhat finish his holocron, but as he was trying to do that, when it killed everybody else, when the weapon activated through the Force to kill them, he was able to fight it for a short period of time to where he transferred most of himself into the holocron. But when that happened, all that energy followed him along, and it split the holocron in two and blew it up in two. Well, the guy that was there, he witnesses a Jedi just disappearing and dying like that, you know? Disappearing into, like, the device and blowing up. He grabs the device that he saw, and then, you know, he can't find the other piece or whatnot. And then years go on. So that was the fall. And that's the rise of, you know, them taking over. Because there was a big coup about turning the Jedi against everybody, like they did in the Old Republic, and then basically they take over. But the person, oh yeah, I forgot, this is the key part though, the mother that died during childbirth, I forgot to mention this part. I have it written out way better than what I'm explaining. I feel like shit, but dark side user that got defeated basically knows that the child died because the mother died, and that's why the dad comes out running and being all crazy and pissed off because the mom died, like she died from like childbirth and things like that. But the person doesn't feel that Force connection because the child dies as well for a second. But that's all happening while, like, you know, he's getting his arm cut off and whatnot, so he doesn't feel anything anymore. Plus he's in shock, so he's like, oh, okay, the kid's fucking dead, so we have nothing to worry about. He flees.
Right.
And after, you know, like I said, they used that weapon to kill all the masters and whatnot.
Enemy securing Delta.
They're basically
Secure
taking
Bravo.
over, so
We are
at that
taking
point,
Alpha.
the girl that was with the guy, you know, they're on their own kind of ship that they retook from the people that were trying to kill her,
We have lost Delta.
which was, all of it was just
Alpha
a
secure.
big staged operation to just manipulate the Padawan into believing her bullshit. Turn him to the dark
Securing
side
Charlie.
subtly.
Bravo secure.
So he's turned, and all that happened. They formed their new empire years, and,
Enemy is securing Charlie.
well, not years,
We
but
are taking Echo.
the guy that got his hand cut off, he eventually comes back to report to her, and this is when the guys, or the Padawan's not around, and she basically ends up killing him and throwing him into the chamber that harnesses all the Force energy to power the weapon. And he was pretty strong in the Force, so he gave him a, you know, significant amount of, I guess you would say, ammo, like Force ammo.
Yeah.
But
Fast hands online.
basically, so they win. All the Jedi Masters are dead. They're basically turned into, like, they were turned on. They were just basically made out to be evil, and they're lied to, kind of like the Republic, the fall of the Republic when that originally happened.
Engaging!
And this new empire kind of took over. So you have the girl and the guy
Friendly
running it,
UAV
but
on
there's
station.
someone pulling the strings,
Securing
obviously.
Echo. Hostile UAV in the
And it
sector.
takes place I would say at least
Securing objective Charlie.
16 to 20 years later. No, probably about 20 years later. To where the kid that was left in, you know, I guess like orphanages and whatnot throughout that city, you know, he's just a street rat right now. Like running around doing his own thing, surviving. And he comes across that shop, that fly dude, like Watto. He runs, and his most prized possession on his thing was that half a piece of a Jedi holocron. The boy ends up fucking stealing it.
Got movement.
Because he knows he could sell it for a lot of money so he can get like food and whatnot that he needs. But this boy is able to only do it because he's able to use the Force. He was able to manipulate the guy by doing, you know, like a Force persuasion without understanding that that's what he's doing. Like, he's just doing it thinking he could just do it, you know? Like, he thinks it's normal. But, you know, you're using the Force. So he tells the guy, it's like, oh, why don't you just look over there real quick? And he looks over there, and he just uses the Force and, like, unhooks something from the back wall, and he gets it in his pocket without the guy looking. And then he runs away, and it wears off, and he realizes, you know, shit's been stolen, sends people after him. You know, he's kind of running through the streets and whatnot. And ends up evading all of them, and he's close to his hideout, gets to his hideout. It's like dusk. And he's looking at the little thing that he stole, and it looks like it could be open in a sense, and, you know, part of it's missing. And he's trying to open it and doing the best he can, and he just gets so frustrated. He just chucks it at the wall, but with his frustration, like, he also used the Force in that way to where it activated it. Where he didn't see anything, but something happened, and then he started hearing voices and things that were going on, and there's echoes of the past of what happened to the Master and everything like that when he died. Conversations and whatnot. And it's all this crazy shit, and it freaks him out. So he runs out of his hideout, and he's running away because he thinks this thing's gonna like blow up, or it's just messing with him. And he runs into this hooded figure, falls back onto his back, looks up, and sees that, oh yeah, of course, it's gonna be that Jedi Master. Got him. And he asks him if he could have the artifact back. And the boy freaks out and runs away. Well, the young kid guy, you know, freaks out, runs away, trying to get away from all that. And the Master keeps appearing everywhere he goes, every turn that he goes, and to the point where he gets back to his hideout. He asks one more time, then he leaves. And he said something along the lines like, well, if you decide to return this to me, because I need it, in a sense, like, find me here. And it's gonna be the location to where that boy's parents died that night, you know what I'm saying, when it got attacked, and the Jedi Master died there as well and whatnot. Because it's so affected by the Force, like, it's kind of like a place where it's like the memories just like reside, and like the best way to be able to activate that holocron and try to would be at the place where it all happened. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, boy ends up doing it, and the Master appears, and, you know, the Master ends up training him, whatnot. And at this point in time, though, with using the Force, people that use the Force, they're basically outlaws, and if anybody's ever seen anybody that uses the Force and does anything like that, they're automatically reported to, and they're sent off away. Got another double kill. That was cool.
There's a sniper on the left of the next opening.
Gotcha.
And a buddy behind him.
Yeah, it's basically unheard of. So the kids basically pop, you know, kind of keep on the DL, but there's something that happens out in public, and he ends up saving some people from like debris or something like that from buildings, and ends up using the Force and saving them. But word gets out, and that gets the attention of the New Republic. They're called like the Royal, I think like the Royal Regime or something like that. I don't have to remember. But, and they're basically the Empire, and they figure out there's a Force-sensitive person that matches the description of the baby that they thought was dead. You know what I mean? So it gives them the incentive to go after this person. But they're doing it in a different way. They're sending an offer to this said person for them to come and learn the ways and train and whatnot, and it's like a royal invitation. So the only reason they go is because the master, he says, you know, hey, go for it, it's a great opportunity, because the master himself doesn't have all his memories back from the holocron because it was broken.
Right.
So at that point, he doesn't remember what's going on. He has a vague memory of the person that extended the offer, which is now a ruler now. He's kind of like the Darth Vader, which was the Padawan. Now he's kind of like a Darth Vader-esque for this new empire. He recognizes the name or whatnot, but he couldn't put his finger on it. All he knows is like, oh, all I remember is that they were really, you know, gifted in the Force and whatnot, blah, blah, blah. It's because the part of the holocron that he unlocked, and unlocking this Force ghost that came from the holocron and whatnot, does not remember the way he died yet. Because he doesn't have the other half. And the other half was found and was scavenged, but it was missing the other half. And the other half was found by the Padawan, because he figured out what he tried to do. So the person that was with the master when he died, he took the half. He didn't find the other half, he couldn't find it. But the other guy, the Padawan, like when he came to check out everything where his master died and whatnot, he found the other half. So he has the other half. So eventually the halves come together and it all comes to fruition of the master remember everything, but it's like, it kind of goes into like, it's too late at that point. You know, you sent him to go train off with somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's gone, he's training, and, you know, it's going well, but he's just realizing how corrupt and how evil they actually are.
Securing objective Bravo.
To the point where he's figuring out his past. And from there, he ends up stealing the other half of the holocron from the person training him, which is the new Darth Vader-esque kind of guy. That guy, he goes onto a mission himself to basically just go kill a bunch of people. When it comes down to it, people that do not want to conform to the new empire, they're gonna go and annihilate them all. And he, like, just through his time training with him, which wasn't very long, but he just sees the corruption and just how very wrong they are. And it caused him to go snooping because, you know, that's what he is. He snoops around, he's a thief, he's a little rat. He can fucking get around anywhere. Ends up finding the other half of the holocron, opens it, and gets told a different side of the story. But that side of the story, the person that's talking to him doesn't remember his other half, so he has to bring him back and put them all together, you know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
So he brings back that, basically evades, or leaves, but the dude's alerted that his chamber's been broken into and shit's been stolen. He comes back, and it's the new guy, the kid, fighting his way through the guards and whatnot and trying to leave and escape so he can get back to said where he was, you know, hiding out and training and whatnot to go put the holocron back together to discover the truth. So while all that's going down, the guy comes back that he's alerted, and there's a little showdown between them. He ends up destroying, oh yeah, they have a little fight with their lightsabers and whatnot right before he flees, but his lightsaber gets damaged by him before he flees. He's able to escape, ends up getting shot down, crashing on the planet in some city not too far, not too far away. Ends up meeting somebody and a crew that are trying to escape the planet because the planet is kind of being put under like a not quarantine, but kind of like a blockade, because, you know, they have someone on the loose now and they kind of like siege it under control. Like no ships are leaving in and out of orbit. We gotta search everywhere. And he meets this person, this girl at a cantina, and she's gonna offer to help him out. She's got a crew, and they just need help stealing something to where they can leave. Dude's able to do it for him. They end up leaving.
Copy. Visual on your mark.
Getting off the planet, and like that just covers like the first like beginning of it. I'm sorry, I could go on for a couple, not like a couple hours, but like that's like such a small portion. But that's like roughly the beginning. And that's like how it starts some stuff. But like that boy, yeah, he's a Jedi and whatnot, and the girl that he meets that has the crew and whatnot, she's She's also, I mean, spoiler, I guess, alert, she's also a little force sensitive, and that's explored later on in the story.
Radar deployed.
Enemy is taking Alpha.
Because it wasn't just a, like, coincidence that they met. If that
Friendly UAV on
makes
station.
sense.
Securing Delta.
Oh man, this story is good though. I really like this one. But it's
Yeah.
so much.
It's a
Talk about-
really good one.
But it's literally taking the whole concept of all of it, putting it together in something fresh, and
Friendly
some
UAV
fresh
online.
story. If you know
Delta
what I
secure.
mean. Because like these people that
Enemy
this
is taking
apprentice
Charlie.
meets, that he's like, or like the Padawan, you know, the
Hostile
new
UAV
guy,
in
the
this
kid,
sector.
the descendant, the Skywalker,
Hostile
basically.
UAV
Meets
active.
these people, and these band of people that he meets become his new kind of crew. You know what I'm
Hostile
saying?
counter
Kind of like
UAV
Guardians of the
overhead.
Galaxy, but Star Wars.
Counter strike on
Sniper's
standby.
down.
They got a couple people with them. Whoa. This,
Securing Echo.
I don't even know how to put it. There's like a lot that goes on, but yeah, they end up leaving the planet. They end up, you know, trying to fight in this new rebellion and stuff, and like try to like, figure out what's going on. Meanwhile, he's just trying to get back to where he wanted to go in the first place,
Position
but
marked.
they can't. Well, they did, but right before they took off from the planet, they go and he figures out who he is,
Securing objective Echo.
and
The enemy
that
took
part's pretty
Delta.
cool. He puts the holocron together. He figures out, because when he gets back there, right, it's like the place has never been touched. But back when he was training there with the master and whatnot,
Enemy is taking
there was
Alpha.
no cobwebs, there was
Securing
nothing,
objective
you know.
Delta.
It was very like well kept, you know what I mean? So when he goes back there, it's like nobody's been there for like 20 years, 30 years,
Objective
right?
Delta secure.
Yeah.
Got him. So when that happens, it's very confusing for him. So, but when he puts together the holocron,
We are
you know,
losing
all the
Alpha.
shit happens, like it starts glowing, whatnot. But
Enemy
you
is
know,
taking
that's just
Delta.
it, and then it's complete. And then just a door opens that was never there before, in a sense. Like the wall opened
Our
up, like the
UAV
hidden
is
room
orbiting
that
the
the
area.
mother died
Enemy
in,
took
where she gave
Alpha.
birth to him in. And inside that room,
Take it back.
there was an astromech droid
Hostile
next to a
safety is active.
table that had a box on
Securing
it that
objective
has
Alpha.
a letter. And that was left from their parents the night that, you know, they died.
Changing mags!
The astromech
Portable
droid's
radar
there,
deployed.
and the box that they open up has the mother's necklace,
We're getting hit hard.
which is a blue crystal, which is hint, the blue kyber crystal from the Skywalker lightsaber,
Objective Alpha secure.
and some pieces of a lightsaber in it.
Enemy is securing Alpha.
And then the astromech droid also has pieces of a lightsaber stored within him.
Enemy is securing
And this
Charlie.
astromech droid, it's been very damaged and very war-torn and whatnot. You could barely see the colors, but it's a blue and gray and white astromech droid. And all that you can see on the actual details when you read it out
Mission
is just,
failed. Return to base.
you just see D2. So they call him D2. But his name is R2D2.
Sure, yeah, it's
You know
like
what I mean?
worn out or whatever, yeah.
So when you read it, you just see D2, and like the droid's so old, like it basically will just respond to it, and it tells him the name eventually, but just like, you know, C-3PO is going to be a part of it, because that's one thing that George Lucas really wanted. He wanted the droids to be a part of all of it. So if I can carry the droids to the very end and have it end with it like that, that would be pretty cool too. So R2 is going to be in it, and so is C-3PO. Spoilers, but they're not going to be in it like the way that you really kind of think, but they're in it. They're there as also like guides and teachers along the way.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm gonna get off. I think I've had my share.
This show.
But yep, I can't wait to flesh them all out into full-on books. It'll be great.
It's a lot of stuff. Ideas that I got going on. And I
Lot
didn't
of
tell you,
stuff.
like, I just told you, like, this tidbit at, like, the very beginning of this episodes 9 or not 9, 10 through 12. Or like the very beginning of like the first episode. That's a lot. But fair enough, dude. I'll catch you later, and I'll try to make some time this week to cut your hair.
Yeah.
Because I'm
We'll
going
get it
over to
done.
work in the Springs Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But I'm sure one of the days I'm off early enough, I'll just have you head over when I'm on my way home or right when I get home. And I'll
Gotcha.
do it.
Alright. Well, it's fun
Fair enough.
playing.
Well, yeah, dude. You have yourself a good night.
Yep, you as well.
Later.